Is Janet from another planet? 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 Is Janet from another planet?
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Oh, my mic was off. Thank you for saying something. I don't know why Jackie didn't tell me, but thank you for joining me tonight. Yeah, I'm going to be talking a little bit about um, a couple of the Epstein victims. Virginia Guffrey's one of them, because she was talking about stuff a long time ago and taken a lot of harassment and stuff. A lot of suspicious stuff happened to her. She got hit by a bus and just, it almost killed her, just weird stuff. And then she had supposedly committed suicide. It's just sad that it seems like as soon as somebody's trying to get the truth out, they start getting slandered or they get stripped of their job, and then they get, other things happening to them, sued or near death experiences, or they're found dead. It's just really scary. So can you hear me now? I hope you can hear me. But just want to say thank you to anyone who's stopped in here or on X. I really, really appreciate it. I haven't been streaming as much on X as I normally would. I pay for a blue check mark so I can stream, but it just seems like my numbers are terrible. I'm just people are telling me they can't see my stuff, and it's just not been very good. So I don't know how long I will even keep paying for a check mark if something doesn't get better, because to me it's not worth it when I could be spending the money somewhere else that's going to help me actually get views or whatever. You know what I mean? I could spend it on Rumble to help my Rumble channel more, because I get way more stuff over there than I do on X, and it's just not been as it's gotten worse. I mean, when we first started X was pretty good. It was like I had a few harassing things here and there, but the views were better, and I got way more followers. I mean, it just seemed like I've been suppressed so bad. This, not just me, a bunch of my friends have been. It's just sunk, and it's all people who have check marks. That's what's really weird. And every time I post anything, I get a thing that says, "Do you want to boost your post?" Well, why would I want to pay more money for when I'm not getting what I thought I was paying for the first time? So forget that shit. I ain't doing it. Sorry, I'm starting off with a rant, but that's not what I was wanting to do today. I wanted to start off with a few things with Virginia Guffrey, about her, because it's really sad, the circumstances surrounding everything that has to do with what happened to her, and her being one of the most vocal people speaking out against Epstein. So I wanted to start with her and play some of her stuff. But before I do, I did want to say a few things, because a few of my friends have had this happen to them. And I want to make sure that if you or someone is experiencing suicidal thoughts or a crisis, please reach out immediately to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. Okay, or text HOME to the crisis type text line, and their number is 741-741. These services are free and confidential. And so I just always want to do that, because when you feel like you're overwhelmed, and when you try to talk to people and they're just like, they don't listen, or they're too busy, or they don't answer the phone, they don't answer your texts, things like that. Sometimes it feels like, there's no one out there that cares. But believe me, people do care. It's a fact that they have lives just like you. If they got to pay their bills, they got animals to feed, they have people to feed in their homes. They have the same problems and issues. They may be different than yours, and they may have them for different reasons than you do. But try not to say no one cares to yourself. Just say, if I can just wait another 15 minutes, even if you call every 15 minutes and leave a message, they'll know when they see their phone, oh my goodness, I need to call them, because they'll know that you feel like, yeah, I'm really desperate. I got to get someone to speak to me or talk to me or just listen. But drinking isn't going to help. Popping pills isn't going to help. So the best thing for you to do is just go for a walk outside in the fresh air. don't really go for a drive. I don't recommend that because when you're in that frame of mind, someone could really piss you off when you're, driving your car. I know that's happened to me a few times. Just go for a walk. Walk around out in your yard, look at the stars, or look at the beautiful sky that's above you and some of the beautiful trees or whatever's around you, and try to soak that in and stop focusing on your inner being. I just wanted to add that because supposedly Virginia Giuffre committed suicide. So I don't know. I just have a hard time believing that because of so much work that she did in helping herself and others get their truth out to other people. And what's sad is to me is the fact that so much of this stuff is finally coming out that she talked about, and some of the other victims about, what happened to them, who was there, and that they were used like guinea pigs, that kind of thing. It's all starting to come out. It's proof in the emails and the phone calls and things like that. And finally, I think some justice is about to happen. So it's just sad that some of these girls, people that went through some of this, aren't alive to be able to see it happening. But it says Virginia Giuffre reveals Epstein trafficked her to Andrew, which was Prince Andrew at the time. She was hit by a bus and then she committed suicide. The interviewer's mother gets kidnapped and is still being held for ransom. And today Andrew was arrested. So this came out yesterday, but I'm going to play it. It's about a minute long, but it's just people need to listen to the victims. And I've been saying that for years. If you want to know the truth, listen to the victims. I think most people have common sense and they can see with their heart and their mind at the same time whether a person's full of shit or not. I mean, if you pay attention to any politician, then you know the opposite of truth and the opposite of shit because they usually don't tell the truth. So you should know when you see truth, whether it's real or not. And I've always believed her. And it was a couple girls that I really believe. I don't care what anyone else says. I've had a few conversations with a few people, and I've even had a few people say that they took money and signed non-disclosures when Jeffrey Epstein died, and they sued. And I think they got like over 200 million. And I think that was one of the victims from one of the shows I had a few weeks ago said in her interview that a lot of them took money because they just wanted to stop having to worry about it. They wanted to get on with their lives. They just wanted it to be over. And they never thought justice with getting these people arrested or anything would ever come. And Epstein's brother paid out over $200 and something million to these victims. And because they took a check to buy a house or try to get on with their life, people think, well, they caved, so it must not have been as bad as they tried to act like it was. And I was like, what the hell? How can you possibly know that? How can you say something like that? Because it doesn't matter how you think you would deal with it. It's never happened to you. Has anybody ever strapped you down and forced you to see horrible things so that they could get adrenochrome from you? Have you been passed around at a party like a piece of meat? It's just, I don't know. It just shocked me when I hear things like that, especially from people that say they're conservatives and they say they understand and stuff, but then they say that about the victims. You're full of shit. I'm sorry. I hate to say that, but you guys need to pray more or something. I don't know. I just can't believe anybody would say anything like that. I'm not a victim. But I think the victims should be heard. And I think people should really step back and stop judging them for any choices they made. A lot of them became alcoholics. A lot of them become drug addicts. A lot of them killed themselves, and all because of things that happened to them that was out of their control. Because once they were taken, they weren't allowed to leave. They had no way out. And when they get to a certain point, some of them even they're so messed up that they become traffickers themselves to help them get younger, younger people to join the massage corps or whatever you want to call it, because a lot of them were used to be masseuses. We're going to train you and you're going to become very rich. And the men will all want to be with you. Well, yeah, against their will. But I'm going to go ahead and play this so you can listen to what she had to say. So here we go.
I was so young. Keelan woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. And Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house. And I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved. I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that.
And she said this years ago when she was being interviewed in this thing, but she had talked about these things for years and years. She wrote a book. She did all these things trying to get people to believe her, but most people just looked at her like, she just wants money. That's what they always do. And you know what? Most baseball players, football players, hockey players, singers, movie actors, anyone that has a few dollars under their belt and they do anything horrible, rape kids, rape women, beat the shit out of people, kill dogs and cats for fun, all that, and they get caught. But then when something like this happens and a young woman accuses them, even if they have proof that they've had, like rough sex or whatever, which is usually what forced sex does, gives you tears in your private areas. And they'll say, "Well, she wanted it rough. She wanted me to throw her over the couch. She wanted me to hold her down, blah, blah, And then everybody says, yeah, she just wanted money. No one wants to believe the victim. They always want to believe that they're trying to get something from someone. And that's what's terrible about it. And that's what I tell young women that I've met in the industry, like music video sets, movie sets, series sets, whatever, wherever you're at, doing a commercial or whatever. If you're an AP or any position, working somewhere or whatever, and some star says, "Hey, will you come up and bring me something to eat for whatever, something like that," don't go by yourself. Never go alone. Even boys, young men, don't go alone. Always take someone with you as a witness, because I'm telling you, just because they're famous doesn't mean they're going to be nice to you. And it's going to be your word against theirs. And more likely, since you're a nobody and they're famous, your word ain't going to mean shit. And they know that. So don't let them take advantage of you. Show them that if they want to see you or want to have that kind of relationship with you, they're going to take you out in public on a date. Something like that, period. Because if you go up to their hotel room or whatever, they can say whatever they want. So don't ever, ever put yourself in a position to where you can't defend yourself. So always take someone with you. But the thing is that I feel really bad for her. She really did try to get people to believe her. And they were real smart about how they did it. One of the victims, God, I wish I could remember her name. I always forget her name. I'm terrible with names. But she had said that they don't let you have cameras or anything, right? So, and you can't take pictures. So she had found a box camera from one of the guests, because you got to remember, just because certain people were coming there to do stuff with them, there were other people that came that would come and just use the pool and swim and eat or whatever, and then leave, like for a meeting or whatever. I don't know for sure everything that was going on, but even the girl said that other people came, and that they, some of them did try to talk to people and others didn't, things like that. And the butler, I saw a video that the butler tried to get someone to look at all the stuff he had, that there's a video for that. I'm going to try to play it, I think, tomorrow night. But this one I was just going to focus on a few things, a few people. So hold on real quick. Let me see who's in the chat real quick before I go on to the next video. Because of sex. Yeah, I can understand that. But to me, especially in a situation that I've personally seen, when you have a 9 or 10-year-old come and tell you that someone's doing something to them, and you just say, oh, stop making things up. And that's it. And the person just keeps doing it and has done it to multiple girls. Or you have something like this, where she was put into stuff. And now look at all the evidence that's coming out. They just arrested this guy because he's a piece of shit. So everyone needs to listen to the victims first before you make judgment on them. Please listen to the victims. All those kids that kept telling people they were being molested by that coach, and then that case came out and they interviewed that one guy. God, my stomach turns every time, and I just get so upset when I think about it. That one guy was on the stand. He was an assistant to that one coach, and the big one. It was a huge case. And he said that he showed up, and the wife said, oh, he's down in the basement, because he had like a whole schmeal down there, office and bathroom, bedroom, and all this stuff down there. And so he went down there, and he said as he went down the stairs, he could hear what he thought was a young boy screaming. And then when he went down and went into the room where the noises were coming from, that's when he saw the young boy in the shower screaming for help with that coach in the shower with him. And the prosecuting attorney asked him, what did you do? And he said, I turned around and left. He left knowing that little boy was being raped in the shower, and he did nothing. And that's what I'm talking about. Coward. What a fucking coward to walk out when he knew what was going on. But he was so afraid he might lose his job or whatever. I mean, honestly, my job isn't worth a child. Never. I don't care how much money I was making. I don't care if I was making $10 billion a year. It wouldn't be worth it. A child being raped. It's not that. It's disgusting. And I would put him in prison myself, that guy, because he might as well have been raping the kid himself, honestly, just to walk out and pretend like, oh, well, it's not my business. Oh, disgusting. Makes me want to throw up. I just get so sick of people like that. But that's the problem, is that everyone wants to blame someone else or kick the can down the road and expect someone else to take care of it. Well, guess what? Nobody's taking care of it. And when we do have someone who's trying to take care of it by arresting people, trying to prosecute them, you get a judge that just gives them a slap on the wrist for taking the innocence away from a kid. It's disgusting. I just have, I have no sympathy for these people at all. And if something like that happened to you and now you're doing it to kids, and you expect sympathy for you after you're raping kids yourself, then why would anyone have sympathy for you? You turned into the monster that you said you hated. Well, guess what? You are a monster. So it's disgusting. But let me go on to the next thing. Let's see. What was the next one I was going to share? Just give me 1 minute. Oh, here it is. This one here, I think. I think it's this one. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to play this. I played this years ago. I don't know if it was, I think it was a year after this came out when I found this video. A friend of mine sent it to me. They said it was a leaked video that wasn't supposed to ever get out. And boy, they were good at it. Twitter was so good, and Facebook, it snap, 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 taking you down really quick if you tried to post anything like this. So it was really hard to get it out because Facebook and Twitter at the time, were covering for these people. And I guarantee you there's more and more that's going to come out too. But this woman, she was involved in trying to release everything that she had gotten out about Epstein with Virginia Giuffre, because she had evidence and stuff, and she was trying to do it, but they wouldn't let her. It says in 2019, Project Veritas, that's what it was, leaked this bombshell hot mic video of Amy Robach blasting ABC News for spiking her interview with Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, who accused Prince Andrew. She said she had everything on Prince Andrew, but ABC was threatened by Buckingham Palace not to release it. So here you go. I'm going to play this video for you so you can listen to what she says.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
See, that came out in 2019. This right here, this video, and she had it for 3 years. 3 years that victims might not have killed themselves, or been murdered or whatever to shut up. So it's really, really sickening when you think about it, how many people lives could have been affected if they just took care of it a little sooner. But yet the people in charge of the people to make sure they keep the money flowing or whatever were able to push people around. So her bosses at her newscasting area that she worked, and who knows who else, were being paid off. Because why else would they stop a story unless they were being threatened or they're being paid off? It's probably both, maybe. I don't know. But it's sad to have to, it's fucked up, man. It's really messed up when you can't tell the truth. Why would you want to work for a company that won't let you tell the truth about somebody? And guess what? I bet their kids weren't being sexually assaulted by these people. Yeah. As long as it wasn't their kids, I don't give a shit about your kid. So that's what makes me sick about some of these people, is that if it was their kid, they demand that they get justice. But when it's a kid down the street, oh, well, it's not my problem. That's how you act. This is what we get. We're getting what we deserve in all our cities with all this crime and all this stuff because we keep voting for dumbasses. They don't give a shit about the people. They only care about how much money they make and their friends. That's it. You are just a flea that they just suck you dry when you go to work, take your tax money from you and spend it on whatever the hell they want, because they don't give a shit what you vote for, because the voting is all rigged too. So until we get all that cleaned up and start putting people in jail, I don't see how we can protect our kids. You can't even send your kid to school now. The bus driver might rape them. The teachers at school, other students in the bathrooms. It's pathetic and disgusting. Our country is crumbling. Each state, one at a time, just crumbling from the inside out. You just can go to any state and just start researching all these registered pedophiles. You'll be shocked how many you probably have right around you right now in your neighborhoods if you just sit on some of these websites. And those are just the ones we know about. What about all the ones that are covered up like this shit? Just think about it. All the ones that are covered up because they happen to be a lieutenant governor's son or a governor's wife, things like that, because they're the one, or your pastor's doing it. You see what I'm saying? Somebody big in the community that has money and push gets away with it. I mean, there was a guy just recently accused that took off into the woods, and I think he's still out there somewhere doing whatever. I don't think they found his body or anything. They're trying to say, oh, he killed himself. Well, there's no proof. We don't have no proof that he's not out there raping more people, raping more kids. It's sickening. We are in a world of hurt if we don't do something. If we don't start fighting for our kids' safety, it's pitiful. But this next thing that I wanted to share about, same thing with Virginia Giuffre, is about some leaked messages between her and one of her best friends that were leaked after supposedly she committed suicide, about what she was like and what was going on with her before she died. And I'm going to share the link to this because there's an awful lot in here to read. But there's what's really sad is that it says that see, this is what she looked like before she committed suicide, supposedly. And there's extra pictures and things like that on here. And then that's her friend, another victim, that they were talking back and forth with each other about, what's been going on with them since they got off the island, and trying to just live a life and try to get these people that did these things to them held accountable. It's really, really sad, but let me copy this link real quick. I'm going to share it in there because I think it's important that people actually read and look at some of these pictures yourselves, because I can read it to you and I can talk about it or whatever and put my feelings, but that's my point of view, right? That I'm giving you my point of view on what I think is a tragedy. And that it took this long before someone finally started paying attention. That so many people with money and power were able to push anyone around that wanted to say something different. And many times I posted, let's see, a 7-minute video about Comet Ping Pong and about Hillary Clinton and John Podesta's emails. And they took me down. YouTube took me down for 2 weeks. It said, and they called me a cyber bully. They said I was a cyber bully. That was their reasoning for doing. And I had to take a class, a little course that they had. And guess what? I still had that warning up on my channel. And it's been almost 2 years since then. And I saw a warning, and I've been asking and trying to get people to take it down because they're supposed to take it down within 3 months. I still have it, which means I already have a warning against my channel. So if I get another warning, what do you think is going to happen? See what I mean? They put you in a position to where you don't want to fight back. But guess what? I'm still posting this stuff. I'm still talking about it. So if you take my channel down, I'll just do my videos on, LinkedIn and Kick and Rumble, and there's so many other ones now that'll do it. Now, YouTube is going to shut me down, but they shut down many of my friends that do things that they don't agree with. Instead of putting a little warning or whatever. Oh, let me tell you, this brings up something else. I had a woman named KT Truther on my show as a guest, and we talked about some stuff similar to what we're talking about right now. Had to do with the COVID and that they used embryonic stem cells and stuff in some of the vaccines and things like, little things like that they didn't really like. Well, I also played a portion of a video of Tucker Carlson interviewing the Surgeon General of Florida. a very small thing. And the next morning, they sent me an email and said they took my video down for medical misinformation. And I was like, it's the freaking Surgeon General of Florida. But guess what? They took my video down and I got another slap basically, but it was still up. The same exact video portions that I played on Tucker's channel still up there, right? And KT was airing it from my channel because I always put links on there so that they can air it to their channel because I pay extra through StreamYard so that they can do that. Anyone that's a guest on my show. And guess what? Hers was still up. But they took mine down. It said I was spreading misinformation. So how is that? Show me where that's fair. Where is the truth in any of that when they're only picking on what I'm saying and no one else? So it's somebody doesn't like what I have to say, which is fine if they have an opinion, but why punish me for it? Why am I the only one getting punished for it? They shouldn't punish anyone. If someone doesn't like what I say, they don't have to watch. Okay, they can turn it off and go watch something else. There's a million other things to watch. If they're not, they think I'm full of shit. They can say that I'm full of shit in the chat. They can post it. I get tons of hate. I mean, it wasn't even Mother's Day of last year. I got one. This one just sticks out. I'm sorry. It's one I remember. I had a post on one of my videos and it said, "Happy Mother's Day, Janet. It's a shame I can't understand anything you say because you have Trump's dick in your mouth." That's the kind of shit that people say to me. But guess what? I didn't cry. Oh, someone doesn't like me. I didn't do that shit. I just said, fuck you. And I didn't care. I'm still talking and saying the same stuff that I was saying then over a year ago because I believe what I'm saying is truth. And I think I'm sharing as much of the truth that I can, links, whatever else I have. And they can either like it or not. They don't have to read it. They don't have to look at it or anything. But guess what? I believe the victims. I put the victims before anyone else. And guess what? The emails and phone calls and all the stuff starting to come out is proving all the things that the victims were saying is truthful. That they were, one of the girls was talking about how they brought people in that were doing scientific experiments on them. Even Guthrie supposedly found a little incision on her belly button. And one of the other girls said, well, they think that they had went in and took her eggs or took out an embryo that she might have been pregnant and they took it out for whatever they were doing. But we won't know unless we get to see all that stuff, right? Because they took all the videos, they took all the cameras, they took all these discs and other things that they found in all the different properties. Because you got to remember, there was the island, there was Epstein's yacht, Epstein's plane, Epstein's home in New York City, and his New Mexico ranch. That's 5 properties that they took and got stuff from. And who knows if there was someone else that went in first and, took what they didn't want anyone to find or whatever. We won't know. But I still would like to listen to the victims and find out, what stuff that they were able to find and use that. And if the victims are still alive, then you can find out through them whether or not what they found is what they were talking about. It's that simple. And another thing we can do is unseal all the documents in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Who is in that? She got arrested for trafficking young women. Who'd she traffic them to? It's all in there. But I don't hear anybody whining about that shit. Unseal the documents. Get the court to unseal them. That's another pure straight to the information hotline that was used in court to put someone in prison. That means it's real stuff. But no, I don't hear anybody whining about that either. But it's just sad. It's just sad that everybody wants to blame everybody and even blame the victims for making the decisions that some of them's made to take money and stuff because they were hurt. They deserved damages. And now it's time to see some people go to prison for it. If what they did was, prison worthy, whatever. Because I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really tell you everything about it. But I can tell you right now that trafficking is illegal. Raping people is illegal if you hold them accountable. Oh, and they say, oh, it's got a 7-year shelf life. They can't do anything after that or something like that. It's ridiculous. When you take somebody's innocence from them and force them against their will to perform sexual acts, I don't think there should be a limit on how long it can take before you can sue them. I mean, that woman came forward all these years later, supposedly saying Trump did shit to her, and everybody wanted to believe her and prosecute Trump for it. But yet, these were young girls when it happened, and now they're 30 or 40 years old. Oh well, don't give a shit. See, it's bullshit. It's their way or the highway. They don't give a shit. So to me, it just pisses me off. Sorry, I get so pissed off. I can't help it. It's just so unfair, and to see that people do this type of stuff to people. But there was this other video that I watched that I thought was pretty interesting. Let me see. Is this one the one? Okay, yeah, this was great right here. This was a little tiny taste of justice for a few of these girls that had to put up with this guy's shit. So I want to share it with you. We push pause, start it over, and turn it up. Make sure it's turned up. Here we go.
And we have some breaking news, some stunning news out of London. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested, presumably in connection with his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to go straight to our foreign correspondent, James Longman.
Hi, George. Yes, extraordinary news out of the UK this morning. The former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has this morning been arrested on the Sandringham estate where he was living after having been removed, of course, from the home he was living in Windsor. The Thames Valley Police, the police here in the UK, put out a statement. They haven't named him specifically, but they are saying a man in his 60s has been arrested. As part of the investigation, they say we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. They say the man remains in police custody at this time. They are not, like I say, naming Andrew, but we know that it is him. This pertains to emails, we believe, that were published recently in the most recent Epstein files published by the Department of Justice, which seem to suggest, they allege that Andrew was forwarding emails to Jeffrey Epstein whilst he was trade envoy here in the UK. Now, as a public official, that is misconduct. That is what the police are alleging. That's the charges that they presumably are bringing to him if they do indeed charge him. He is under arrest and remains in custody for that. We will wait and see what further details they are yet to give us. But, as trade envoy, he spent more than 10 years traveling around the world on behalf of the British government to kind of foment relationships with other countries to better Britain's kind of economic outlook, if you like. That was seen as a member of the royal family could do this. His status would provide Britain with that kind of heft on the world stage. But the emails from the Department of Justice suggest that when he was in these conversations in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, I've got a list here in front of me, other countries that he went to, he would then have these kind of confidential documents in these emails, and then it looks like he was forwarding them on to Jeffrey Epstein, another one here from Vietnam, another from China. So if you look at the date on some of these emails as well, that is what is interesting. One of them here in front of me from 2010. Of course, that's well after Jeffrey Epstein had already faced charges for soliciting sex from a minor. So that goes to the heart of this entire issue around Andrew and Epstein. The relationship that he had with that convicted sex offender went far beyond the time which he said that he had broken all contact with him. People at home might remember the disastrous interview he gave in 2019 to the BBC, where he said that he had traveled to the United States, to New York, to sever his ties with Jeffrey Epstein, that he was there to basically explain to him that he no longer wanted to be in communication with him. These emails from the Department of Justice suggest that that was not true, that he basically lied about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in that interview. He has always denied, we should say, any wrongdoing when it comes to the allegations about sex trafficking. Virginia Giuffre, of course, the individual who alleged that she was sex trafficked by Epstein for sex with Andrew, he has denied that strenuously. We haven't had comment from him or the palace on these latest allegations about emails to Jeffrey Epstein in his position as trade envoy. But one imagines that at some point today, Buckingham Palace will have to release some kind of statement. They are yet to comment. But we are in the extraordinary situation where the brother of the king has been arrested. To my mind, that has never happened in the modern history of the royal family. Certainly, this has shaken this country. It's been a long time coming. I think many people would look at this and say, Andrew should have faced justice a long time ago. Many others will say, well, this is a shock today to find that he's been arrested in this way.
It's pitiful. They barely said anything about him being arrested for anything to do with trafficking young women. Basically, his misconduct, and, they word it to where it's, making it sound like he just made a few mistakes, of where he went and who he hung out with and who he chose to hang out with and shit. So, and they've already taken away his prince status and things like that because they knew this was coming. It just took longer, I think, than they were thinking it was going to. I think they thought that a lot of this was just going to, just go to the wayside or whatever. But the thing is that he's a piece of shit. And honestly, I think his wife even knew, at the time that what he was doing, and she didn't speak out and she didn't divorce him and demand, that justice be done for the young women or nothing, I mean, money's nice. It's nice to have money, but, I'm not making any money on X. I don't make one penny. I spend out more money doing what I'm doing than I've ever made from any of this stuff. I do make crochet bags. I sew blankets out of old t-shirts that people wore for loved ones. So they have a blanket made from someone they love's clothes. I make bags, shoulder bags out of t-shirts. I make logos with crystal art, things like that. I do all kinds of stuff for money. And I also do other work, promo work and things like that. Well, guess what? I don't make any money doing this. I haven't made enough money to even pay my monthly streaming service that I pay to be able to do this. I do this with money out of my own pocket because to me, I like doing it. I'm learning as I go. I do movie reviews. I play live streams. I play Pathfinder. I do a lot of different things on here, but I do it because this is my social life now. This is what I do. I don't leave my house. I just do this because I don't have a life basically. But I do it because it's important to me. I want to see some of these people held accountable. I would love to see all of them, but if we can just get the top people, at first and get the other ones to squeal on them and, put a tag on them, brand them, let people know that these guys are scumbags, all the people that are involved. If they took money or any part of it, they should be punished for it. But I want to see some of these big people that hid it, that stopped the victims from getting justice. I want to see all these people held accountable. I really, really do. And, but it's heartbreaking to me to see that so many people just look at them and go, they don't give a shit. It's so pitiful because one day something bad's going to happen to those people, the people that just don't care. And they're going to be crying in the dirt going, why doesn't anyone believe me? Why doesn't anyone listen to me when you never were there for anyone else? So, hopefully, we'll see some justice, some good things happen to some of these people. But yeah, the wall is collapsing, isn't it? Little cracks are all in everything. The dam is filled with cracks. So hopefully very soon this year, 2026 is going to be the year that we're going to start seeing people being held accountable for some of the things they've done. To really understand all of this is to realize this is a war on women. Yeah. But I also believe it's a war on men. Men and young boys are trafficked also, not just women and girls. Trafficking is a lot of money because you can sell a little boy and a little girl multiple times. You can only sell drug once. So think about it. And the United States of America, when that movie Sound of Freedom came out, it said in the end of the movie, it was based on a true story, that the United States of America is the #1 trafficking country in the world. Think about that. Why? Because we have so many people willing to pay you money to be with a kid or somebody against their will. Sickening, isn't it? We have raised some real sickos. It's pathetic and gross that we have gone this long, and it just gets worse and worse, because when a victim ends up becoming the person that's bringing in victims and making more victims, we got a mental health crisis on our hands. We have so many young people that have been sexually assaulted. Not all of them, but most of them are into cutting themselves now. They're popping pills, they're drinking, they become abusive to other people. I'm not saying they're attacking, people to rape them and stuff. I'm talking about just being abusive, become a bully, to take out their anger issues on other people. And lots of things like that. And all of those things are all things that those people should have had help to deal with what would happen to them, because they had to realize it wasn't their fault, that a sick, perverted freak took advantage of them. And that's why they had the problems, not because of something they did. And we just don't do that. And we've missed out on how many generations of has this been going on? Not just with Epstein. I'm talking about with the trafficking and shit. Once they realize that, yeah, you can sell this cocaine for this much money, or we can sell this kid over a 25 year span of time and make this much more money. So the kids were worth more. They could get 35 kids across the border and bam, they're making millions of dollars just from those kids. And they don't have to have anybody to pay to make the drugs, because all they got to do is sell these kids. Just inject some medicine in them, keep them docile, and fix their boo-boos when they're all torn up from, some rough piece of shit that got a hold of them. And, or if they're pregnant, you just give them an abortion and put them back out on the street. I mean, that's disgusting, isn't it? But that's what we do. Our country does that. And we don't hold that many people accountable for it, do we? Pretty sickening, if you ask me. We need God big time in this country. But here we go. Here's the next one I had. I wanted to play because his perspective on this whole thing has been really, really good. And I think his point of view is perfect for what I'm trying to get across. His whole perspective on Epstein is really, really good.
The talented Mr. Epstein. The Epstein story is back with a vengeance. It just won't go away, and that's a good thing. Why? Because it gives us a window into the behind-the-scenes world of degenerate elites. It shows how the system actually works. It's a lesson in how the bad guys get away with it, a lesson in the unaccountability of power. For decades, the Epstein story was supposed to be about pedophilia. Here was this pedophile, Epstein, who set up an elaborate pedophile ring for other rich pedophiles. They communicated through weird signals like eating pizza. They engaged in perversions, which we ordinary, decent people could hardly imagine. The Epstein story made us feel dirty in a way, but also good about ourselves, because we were not like those evil rich people. We were so much better than they were. But as with a lot of things, when you get a closer look, things look somewhat different than they did before. It's happened before. Remember the Catholic Church pedophilia scandal, all those pedophile priests? Except the real scandal was far bigger than pedophile priests. What it really involved is homosexuals infiltrating the priesthood for generations. Whole parishes became so-called lavender mafias. The gays recognized they had a ready supply of teenage boys who came in through the altar boy network. So a whole system of sexual predation developed through a very old institution. That's why the Catholic Church refused to confront the problem for so long. It was a corruption of the system, yes, but the problem had also become built in. It involved the way the system worked. The real Epstein scandal is the same. It involves pedophilia, yes, but that's not the full story. The story is one of how our system of elites works and has long worked in America. Epstein figured it out. He was an outsider, but he became part of the club. He created his own club. He introduced an innovation, his own unique brand. He got lots of rich and powerful people to join his club because it had its own special allure. This is a story of the corruption of human nature, of what happens when the stable balance of power between men and women is wrecked. Now, Jeffrey Epstein didn't wreck it. He took advantage of the new opportunities created by the wreckage. In a sense, he created a new equilibrium of power. To understand this, we have to understand the cultural revolution of the 1960s. We have to understand David and Bathsheba. We have to understand the Bible. Let's begin with some facts that have come out in recent days that throw light on the big picture. Want to hear something funny? I'm named in the Epstein files. Just the day before I found out about this, my wife Debbie said to me, "Hey, it's a good thing you're not in the Epstein files." I laughed, but I should have said, "Au contraire." Turns out I'm mentioned in the files, but in a context that actually makes me look good. The physicist Lawrence Krauss emails Epstein about being in New York, and he mentions he's scheduled to debate, quote, "that slime bucket Dinesh D'Souza." He calls me a slime bucket. Now, the debate, as it happens, never took place. I'm not sure why it got canceled, but it didn't work out. But consider the irony. One pervert, Krauss, writes the king of perverts, Epstein, referring to me as a slime bucket. Well, hey, I'll take that as a badge of honor. By the way, Krauss is part of a group that's called the New Atheists. Our debate was supposed to be about God versus atheism. I'll let you guess who was on which side. Krauss was evidently a good buddy of Epstein, but he wasn't the only one. I notice there are several new atheists, many of them academics and scientists, on the Epstein friend list. Two of them are evolutionary biologists, Robert Trivers and Mark Hauser. Then there's the cognitive scientist, Steven Pinker, formerly of MIT, now at Harvard. Pinker actually draws on the techniques of cognitive science to instruct Epstein on how he can evade charges of trafficking young girls. Basically, Pinker uses a sort of Bill Clinton technique, getting into the nuances of words. Remember this? Are you having sex with that young woman? Clinton says no, because Clinton's way of understanding the question is, are you having sex with that young woman right now? Since he's not, at this very moment, having sex with Monica Lewinsky, he's technically accurate in answering no. Pinker wants Epstein to take a page from his good buddy Bill Clinton. Bill, of course, was an Epstein insider, no surprise. Epstein even had a portrait of Bill in his New York apartment. Bill was wearing the infamous Monica Lewinsky blue dress. I'm sure the two of them had a good laugh over that one. In that world, a rich, powerful man preying on an opportunistic but vulnerable young woman is not a moral scandal. It's an opportunity. Laughing about it shows a wink-wink understanding that we, people like Epstein and Bill Clinton, play by different rules than ordinary people. Ordinary people don't live like that, not, by the way, because they're better people, but because they are not rich enough or powerful enough to get such opportunities. Bill Gates was once an ordinary fellow. He was your typical squinty-eyed tech nerd. I'm sure he got zero attention from the girls. They probably made fun of him. And so did the boys. Everyone made fun of him. He didn't like it one bit. But Bill was smart, and he used those smarts to become rich, very rich. And then Bill noticed that the picture changed. Suddenly, he became attractive, not just to girls, but to younger girls. Of course, they were attracted not to him, but to his wealth, his power. But Bill didn't care. The bottom line was that a new avenue of opportunity opened up to him. It wasn't merely a sexual thrill. It proved to him that he was cool, after all. He was also hot. He satisfied the entire vocabulary of one-time social media star Paris Hilton. She apparently said only two phrases: that's hot, that's cool. Bill was hot and cool at the same time. Then there's Steve Bannon, man of the people. Now, to the outside world, Steve Bannon is a populist. He's on the side of the common man. He reflects the ideology of the common man on his show, War Room. He won't put up with those rich elites. They're destroying the country. Steve, is the leader of a movement that is saving the country. Except there's a facade. Steve Bannon is all over the Epstein files. It's not just that Bannon knew Epstein. Bannon was a close advisor and confidant to Epstein. Bannon was planning to make a documentary film defending Epstein. By the way, prior to the release of the files, Bannon made it sound like he was doing a film critical of Epstein. Au contraire, Bannon was essentially serving as Epstein's PR man. Epstein, too, saw himself as a promoter of Bannon. You scratch my groin and I'll scratch yours. Sorry, I had to go there. Now, in one exchange, Epstein basically tells Bannon that he needs a bit of a rebranding. Bannon is seen too much as a political hack. Epstein wants Bannon to go into media. This will provide a much better cover for him. The underlying assumption is that Bannon can make shady deals, but hide behind the banner of being a journalist. Now, consider one of Bannon's biggest scams, raising money to build the wall. For Bannon, this was basically a ruse to get money for himself. What he really wanted was for well-meaning rubes to give him their hard-earned money. But it doesn't work to say, I'm a lazy, disheveled Wall Street guy. I want to live high on the hog, so give me money. And that wouldn't fly. So Bannon says instead, workers of the world unite. Give me money so that I can build a wall and save your jobs. Bannon was convicted of this racket and then pardoned by Trump. You might say, you too, Dinesh, were convicted and pardoned. Well, yes, but I was convicted of exceeding the campaign finance limit, which is trying to give away too much of my own money. Bannon was convicted of trying to steal from others. Big difference. Incidentally, in order to pull off this confidence trick, Bannon could not afford to be seen as a political hack. He needed to be seen as an honest journalist, a champion of the people. The whole scam depended on it. So Epstein understood the game. He wanted to help Bannon to play it better. We see here that Epstein's club was not just about sex. It was also about political and cultural power. It was about jobs and career advancement and steering the course of scientific research. It was about playing the system. The people in this network, Epstein included, are not so much immoral as they are amoral. For them, it's about power and sex and money. It's not about anything else because there is nothing else. These are people who live by Dostoevsky's maxim, if God is not, everything is permitted. You can see now why the new atheists were all over Epstein like flies circling poop. For the fly, there's no inherent aversion to poop. In fact, for the fly, poop is a delicacy. This brings me to Epstein's innovation. We need to figure out the innovation of the talented Mr. Epstein, because Epstein by himself had very little to offer. Sure, he could give advice, but who cares? Sure, he could make introductions and connections, but there are other ways to get that. Bill Gates doesn't need to go to Epstein's meetings or Epstein's parties to make connections, to listen to Epstein tell him how the world is going. Epstein's innovation is to create a social club with a secret ingredient, access to young girls. Not necessarily underage, but teenagers and girls in their 20s. Epstein created a system for men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s to get massages and have sex with young women in their teens and 20s. This was the key to his success. Older men can sometimes find a younger woman, but there are no comparable networks where young women can be produced to be your sex slave. Epstein built his network through his procurer, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the head of his product development, so to speak. Epstein recognized it's important to embed this prostitution ring into a web of knowledge, social work, and respectability. This way, people don't have to say, I'm going there to take care of my dick. They can say, I'm going there to discuss the next steps of artificial intelligence, or I'm going there to learn about global health challenges. This pretense actually makes the whole thing even more repulsive. If you're going to be a pervert, don't pretend you're doing it for the greater good. Genghis Khan raped and pillaged, but he didn't try to pass himself off as Mother Teresa. Let's put the story in its widest.
The funny thing about what he just said is that they're not pretending, because if you really listen to these people that he's talking about, Epstein, Zuckerberg, what was his name? Gates, all of them, their heads are so big, they think they're God's gift, to everything. They have such narcissistic personalities. They really believe that they had the right to do whatever they wanted because they were saving the world. I mean, let's look at what's his name? Zuckerberg. Okay. He put out a video showing his new yacht, a $300 million yacht with 4 diesel engines on it. But he's telling you and me that we need to save the world by not driving our cars and burping and farting, and how we're ruining the air we breathe for the rest of the world, basically. Yet him having 4 diesel engines is okay because of who he is, because he's such a genius and he's so smart that he's going to save other people. So him colluding isn't the same as you and I farting and burping. You see, it's pathetic because they really do believe their own bullshit. Okay. So yeah, what he just said, joking around about it though, they're disgusting. They're just disgusting. Here we go.
Perspective. For centuries, under the system of traditional marriage, young men find young women and they get married and they live together for life. But underneath this conventional arrangement is a complicated arrangement of power. Young women are most powerful when they are young, because that is when they are the most beautiful. Young men are most powerful when they are older, because that is when they become rich and powerful. Now, in a traditional marriage, a young woman who could attract an older man nevertheless picks a younger man, a man who's not as powerful as she is, but it's a long-term bargain. Later in life, she will be less attractive and therefore less powerful, and quite likely he will be more successful and therefore more powerful. But in this bargain, the man agrees not to go after younger women even when he can, because his wife chose not to go after older men even when she could. Both parties voluntarily submit to a long-term arrangement that tempers their power when it is at its height. But when traditional marriage breaks down, there's a new power structure. Younger women who are at the height of their power go straight for the rich, powerful older men. The older men realize they can unload their wives and go for the 22-year-old or for a procession of 22-year-olds. This is not a power imbalance. It's actually a power balance. The younger women have beauty and the older men have Lamborghinis. And so there's a kind of market equilibrium here. Left out of this cozy arrangement, younger men and older women. Both groups have nothing to offer, so they are abandoned to porn and masturbation, and in the case of the women, embittered feminist ideology. Social justice and left-wing activism is the consolation prize for women who no longer have a husband or a home or a life. Jeffrey Epstein's sordid world is distinctive to a degree, but it's also a tale as old as time. Rich and powerful men have always gotten their way, even in traditional societies. They've always found a way to evade the rules, or in some cases, they make rules for themselves. Think of King David, who had at least 8 wives, and King Solomon, who had 700 wives. Both of them also had lots of concubines. Hey, if you have 700 wives, do you really need concubines on top of that? I wouldn't think so, but that's just me. And these are the great figures of the Bible. Yet they didn't let their attachment to God eliminate their access to women. And there were even limits to what the prophets asked of them. When David sets his eyes on Bathsheba, the prophet Nathan confronts him, but he doesn't say what we expect him to say. The prophet Nathan does not say, "Hey, David, what's with all the wives and concubines? God created one woman for Adam. He didn't give him a harem. Why can't you stick with one wife?" Instead, Nathan gives the example of the rich man with many lambs and the poor man with just one lamb. The rich man is having a banquet, so he takes the poor man's lamb. Nathan gets David to agree this is an injustice. But it's only an injustice because David has so much and Bathsheba's husband has so little. Basically, Nathan is saying, you, David, should be content with your 8 wives and umpteen concubines. Why must you also take this other guy's wife? The Bible never downplays the wickedness of human nature. Humans are always breaking the rules, violating the commandments, going after the golden calf. The Bible shows how difficult it is for the Spirit of God to penetrate the thick crust of human depravity. And so we have the prophet Nathan doing his best with David. He seems to concede it's the prerogative of the king to have a gluttonous sexual appetite. He merely wants David to control it at its outer limit. His message, to put it candidly, is keep the harem, David, just leave Bathsheba out of it. Even Jeffrey Epstein might have considered that a fair arrangement. And that's how I see it. It's officially a new era for gold and silver after gold crossed the critical threshold of
Well,
$5,000 an ounce. And
is,
silver blew past 100.
This is his ad. So let me get past that. But the thing is, I just wanted to play his point of view of the whole thing with Epstein and what he did and how he was able to do it, because a lot of people have so many different points of view that he was in CIA and he was this and he was that, and that everybody else was playing him, when basically, if you think about how he broke this down, he made it as simple as possible. Greed, just like he said, it's greed. Why do so many people want everything when they already have everything? A little guy that lives in a trailer house could look up and see this guy's got a mansion and 3 cars, a beautiful wife and some kids, and he's got all this stuff, yet it's not enough. He just wants more. He wants this guy's wife, just like he was just talking about. And as long as we're cheering on all these people that do these things, how do we expect it to ever get different, or change and get better? We are the ones that have to start trying to say, okay, we got to raise our kids to have morals and care about themselves, care about how they're presenting themselves and how you treat other people. How do you treat people that are older than you? Do you say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am? Do you open the door for people when you see someone approaching the door and they got their hands full? Things like that. Do you make an effort at all to help anyone in your life? I mean, there's so much that we can look at ourselves to make a difference to people around us. And like I said at the beginning of the show, to me, listening to other people when they're trying to explain something to you is a start. Now, if you listen to him and you realize, oh, this is not what I want to be in the middle of, like somebody's saying that, he wants to do something, break the law or do something that you don't want to be a part of, you just stop them and say, I understand that you're having a problem with this or whatever, but I don't want to be in the middle of it. And give them an answer of why you're not listening to them. Don't just turn around and walk away. Because if you were reverse situation, how would you want to be treated? Like, what was it? Was it my grandmother that said to treat people the way you want to be treated? That type of thing. So that's one thing I wanted to do tonight on the show was get people to think about when you're listening to somebody else bash other people. Are they giving you proof? Are they showing you anything? If you're listening to someone talk bad about your next door neighbor or your someone you work with, if they're a boss, are they trying to get everybody to do their jobs and that's why you hate them? You see, I mean, try to step back sometimes and listen to what people are saying and about whether or not it's right or not. All I hear is people bashing people without any proof, without any evidence, or bashing them about something they have no idea what they're talking about. So I don't know. I think if everyone would try to read what is coming across your timeline on like X or Facebook or Instagram, whatever you're on, try to read all of it and then compare it to something else. If there's a name in there, look it up. Look up who that person is. Do you judge an article just by the headline? Do you watch something for 25, 30 seconds and then go to the next one? And then you tell people, yeah, I heard about that story. I know all about it. No, you don't. If you watched it or read it for 30 seconds, you don't know all about it. But people act like they know all about everything because you saw a headline. It's sad because it could be you one day. One day could be you that's being judged and everybody's pointing their finger at you. You didn't even do anything. It's all because somebody saw something someone else said about you, and now it's truth to them because they didn't take the time to find out. I just hope it doesn't happen to you and you have nobody that listens to you to help you fix it or anything. That's the problem, is that everybody's willing to throw everyone under the bus except for themselves because they don't want to go under the bus. I don't want to go under the bus, but I'm willing to find out as many facts as I can before I throw you under the bus. That's what all I'm saying is read, listen, watch videos, look things up. If you have a phone, you can look things up. This right here is as good as a computer. I mean, the screen's not as big, but you can find the same things if you're looking for it. If you hear someone's name, make a note on your notepad in your device, your iPad or your laptop, whatever you're on. Make a note on there. Say, hey, I need to look up this name, whatever it is, and look it up for yourself. Find out what it means. Find out who they are. What did they do? And see if what you read is the same as what you hear someone saying. And then if they do say it, because I've read many, many posts and I'll say, well, where's your, you state this at your headline and you have a photo of them, but where is the link to show me what you're saying is fact? Usually they don't have that. And then they don't reply. They don't say anything because it's just clickbait. They want you to click on it and read it. Guess what? Yay, thank you. 300,000 reads. That's a great thing for that some people. But the fact is that I actually asked for stuff. I was like, hey, I don't see anything on here. And I've looked it up. I can't find anything. I did that a couple times, and I finally learned from it. Is that I saw a headline that said so-and-so died. So then I retweeted it and someone sends me a message. They didn't die. They're still alive. What? So I go back and look and I go, God, I can't believe I shared that and didn't even bother to find out whether it was true or not. And that was on me. I did it. I admit it. I should have read it. I should have looked at what I was doing before I did it. And made myself look like a dumbass, all because I listened to someone else. So without looking it up to see if it was factual. So that's all I'm saying. Don't bash the victims. Don't bash the victims. All it does is make you look bad. If you think the victims are deserved what they got, just don't say nothing. At least no one around you is going to think you're a piece of shit. They're going to think, well, not going to think nothing because you said nothing. But if you tell everyone, oh, they get what they deserve because they shouldn't have went to the island. They shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have stayed. They should have left. Like a million women I know that's been beaten by their husbands. Why'd they stay? They must like getting beat. It's psychological. Okay? Because after so much abuse, you just give up. Some of them give up. Some of them really do believe that they deserve it because after a certain amount of time, they think that, well, I'm just stupid. I'm just dumb. I'm ugly. Whatever it is that they believe because it's beaten into them. Believe me, I know a few people that went through that. So you get to where you have to, you need help. You need psychological help after going through certain things in your life, and people aren't getting it. And it's so expensive you can't afford it. Who can afford $100 an hour to get someone to help you? And when they're sitting there the whole time going, yep, yeah, see you next week. They don't give you any help because they don't have to. Okay. Because so many people go to the same doctor. Let's say you go to the doctor and he tells you have a certain ailment Okay. And then you say, well, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to keep an eye on it. But then you go back 3 more times and he says the same thing. Would you keep going back to that doctor? Not me. If I go one time and they say we're going to keep an eye on it for 2 weeks or whatever, and then after that they say, oh, I think it's going to be fine. You don't have to do this or that. I'll go to a different doctor, especially if it hasn't changed or it's gotten worse, because that doctor is not listening to you. They're not trying to cure you. They're just taking your money. That's all they're doing. So if I go to a doctor and they don't give me an answer or do a test or something and I'm having a problem, I'll go to someone else. And if you find a doctor that actually listens to you and gives you answers the best they can, as fast as they can, guess what? Don't let go of that doctor, because there's very few of them, very few left. So fight for yourself to stay healthy and stay informed, on whatever comes your way. Try not to make too much of it unless you know what you're talking about. If you find something, read it, look it up, share it with someone else if you believe it's true. Just like he was saying about all the years that all these kids were going to church and being molested, and they just passed the priest or the person who was doing it to the next church and to the next one, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young boys being assaulted. And that little boy growing up thinking, I'm dirty, I'm a bad person, I'm a horrible, I don't deserve to live. All that attitude, or that they're gay simply because maybe they enjoyed something that happened to them, has nothing to do with them being gay. It means they were taken against their will when they were too young to understand what was going on. We have hurt a lot of people by not helping these people get the help they needed. And I 100% agree that we need to bring back institutions where people can go and get real help with real people and doctors that give a shit about whether or not they get well. Taking medicine for the rest of your life doesn't mean you're cured. You know what I mean? If you have a disease that you have to take medicine the rest of your life, you still have that disease. You're just having to take medicine to keep it at bay or to keep it from getting worse. That's it. That's the only thing. It's not a cure. But I think people can be cured from lots of things that we have out here, but nobody wants to cure anyone because you make more money if you constantly have to take medicine for something, right? So just think about those things, and please leave a comment later if you watch this video afterward, because I love to hear other people's point of view. I'd like to hear what you're doing to try to better other people around you or yourself, or by sharing, truthful information with other people to try to help other people find out the truth. And I really do hope that we're going to start seeing some more people be brought to justice. I mean, we know he was arrested. Now, whether they're going to get him on anything, I don't know. I really don't. See, that's the sad truth is, I try to tell people, a lot of people are going to be arrested, but probably not for what you want them to be arrested for. Like, we all want to see, I know, James Comey, Hillary Clinton, and a few others like that arrested for a lot of things that we believe they have enough evidence to prove in court. But they've had a lot of time to cover their tracks. So whether they'll go to prison or get arrested for the things that we think they deserve to go get arrested for, we probably won't get to see that. So if they do get arrested, it's probably going to be a slap on the wrist. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that they went and picked up Comey and nothing happened because they threw it out, basically, is what I think is going to happen a lot of if we are too quick to throw the cuffs on someone just so we can say, oh, see, we're arresting people. Doesn't do any good if you arrest them and they just walk tomorrow. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for justice. We want to see truth prevail, right? And us to have faith in things again. We may not full faith in the medical community or even our government for a very, very long time, if ever in our lifetime, simply for what we've already seen happening, right? It's been pretty shitty. That's all I could say that. I don't trust very many people anymore. It's sad, but I want to. And I haven't quit. I still love meeting new people. I still love to have good conversations with people. And I could sit and talk for hours with people. I really enjoy that. And listening to what they have to say about some things, as long as it's not hateful and saying they want to, just get rid of one whole side, because we can't do that. That it's got to be something reasonable, reasonable discussion where everyone should have the right to have their beliefs in whatever it is that they want, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. I don't have a problem with that. But when you start saying you're going to do certain things, how can that be better than what the other side might say? Like people were telling me because I wouldn't wear a mask that I was trying to kill people. Because I didn't want to get the jab, I was trying to kill people, that I was a killer and that I didn't deserve medical treatment, that I should be put in a camp because I was not wanting people to live, stuff like that. And now I'm hearing people on my side saying stuff about how dumb those people were to fall for it, so they shouldn't get help and stuff. It's just, to me, it's both sides of that story is pathetic. Because I never said that about anyone. I think everyone deserves what they believe they deserve. Like if a person went and got all the jabs and did all that stuff and now they're sick, I believe they should be able to go to doctors and try to get help and maybe get better from all the stuff they put in their body. I don't know, but I don't think they deserve to just be put aside, any more than the other person does for anything that happens. But that's just my point of view. But I hope that I showed a few things that maybe you didn't know about or you hadn't heard, but I think it was good information. And I did share the links in the chat for it. And the whole thing with Virginia Guffrey, I pray for her family and her children, that one day when they grow up and they see what their mother went through, that will help them understand why she wasn't there for them later on in their life, because she wasn't alive. She died before they got to get old enough to, have their own families and things like that. But hopefully their father is going to do the best he can to make sure that they know what their mother went through. So, and other people like her that going through similar things like that, men and women that have lost their lives, for whatever they did, and that their significant other makes sure that their children got a sense of who they were when they were alive. I think that's important. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening, and I hope you like my outro tonight. It was a new one that I found that I really wanted, because you know how I am. I'm always putting on my little personal point of view at the end, basically. But I thought this was a really good one, and I think people need to really understand what their job is and why they're doing it, because we're all paying them to do that to keep us safe. So hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you later.
Collapsing.